guys. Hi, moms and dads. You want to say hi?
Hi.
I am Mufu and this is Noni. Welcome to Music with Mufu. In today's video, I want to give you 5 things to consider as you sign up your child for music lessons. Number 1, is the child ready? Now, there are lots of ways to look at this. It's not really just about age, although age does matter. You want to check if your child's aptitude is up to it. You would like the child to be able to communicate with the teacher. You like the teacher to be able to communicate with the child. And so there's the matter of language. Can the child speak? Even though a little child of 2 years old can clap and so on, they may not be coherent in communication. So you might want to wait a little bit longer. And also, it's quite useful if a child can count. Physically, you want to look at the instrument that they're going to learn. That's why I feel like the piano is a nice standard first instrument. But if we're looking at the cello, for example, even though we do have small sizes of cellos, they don't go really tiny. So you want your child to be able to be the right sort of size to be able to hold such a big instrument. And if we're looking at the flute, even though we do have the curved piece, we want the child to be able to hold up their arms and to be able to blow without getting too exhausted. If we're looking at the violin, my daughter has a violin, a really tiny one, and even a 3-year-old can hold it. So you want to look at the physical limitations as well to check if your child is ready. Another thing is your child's enthusiasm. So you might want to learn, you might want your child to learn a musical instrument, but maybe your child is not interested. So you have to wait until the child expresses some interest, because they are the ones who are going to go through the lessons. They have to go through the practice. They have to go through the performance and so on. So you want to wait until your child is actually ready. Now to number 2. Are you ready? When you sign up your child for music lessons, a lot of parents think that it's their child's journey, it's their child's musical studies. But actually, the child is still small. That journey is between the child and yourself. You have to find time to take your child for music lessons, or you have to create the time in your day to make sure that your child is also practicing. You have to express some interest in your child's work. So whereas a child has expressed interest and they want to learn this instrument, you have to go along with them. The child and the teacher get to meet maybe only 30 minutes in a whole week, but it's you who has to be with the child every single day to make sure that the practice is being done. You have to be ready for that. It's not time consuming, but it really does require some high level of commitment. Another thing is you have to be able to motivate your child to psych up for the lesson, or to get ready to practice, or to perform something for you. Another thing about this is that when this child is starting to learn a musical instrument, which is not voice, an external instrument, you would go through periods of non-musical sounds. So there's a cling and a clang of the piano, and it's not making any sense. There's the squeakiness on the violin, and it's kind of irritating, or it hurts your ears. But you have to take it. It's part of the exploration. It's part of the learning. They have to go through this period of noise before everything comes together to make sense. So you have to be ready for that. Good thing is, when you are actually interested in this, that stops being noise. It becomes your soundtrack. It's the soundtrack of your life, which is basically how it is around here. There's always some scales playing, some arpeggios playing, someone is messing around with the cello and so on. And you take it. So you have to be ready as well. Number 3. Now, this is, I don't know if this is something that needs to be discussed, but can you afford it? Music lessons can be quite cheap, and they can also be very expensive. It really depends on, I guess, your budget. Because if you're going to sign up with a teacher that's been teaching for like 20 years, they have amassed experience and probably very high level of skill in teaching as well as in performing. Those teachers are not going to come cheap. And so you'll have to cough up a good amount of money. And then if you're thinking of, well, you can take, whatever is cheapest and available, then there's certain things that you might not get out of it. For example, experience. The newcomers might be really good performers, but because they're fresh in teaching, might not have developed a style or a routine, and might be like a touch and go for every single lesson, and so you might lose some kind of a standardized method for the teacher or for the child. But it's really up to you. It really depends on your budget, because the child will still, I guess, learn. It just depends on the teacher that you are paying for. Now, here's the thing. Whatever budget that you have, you need to consider that this is a long-term journey. It's a long-term activity. You are not thinking,
well, it's now April holidays, so let me sign up my child for piano lessons. And then in August, in the holidays, we're going to sign up my child for French lessons. And then in December, we're going to sign up for horse riding lessons.
It doesn't work like that. With learning a musical instrument, it's a lifestyle. So when you're signing up now, consider a budget that is sustainable and that you can run with over a long period of time. Now, considering cost, it might be useful to mention here that long distance or Skype or Zoom lessons are also possible. And even cheaper are the pre-recorded packaged lessons, which you probably have to do along with your child. When you're thinking about the cost, there's the instrument that you have to acquire. Some of them are hireable, like you can hire them. If you're not hiring, you have to buy one. There are certain instruments that are cheap, or if you save up a little bit, you can get it quickly. So piano is a big investment, but an instrument like a guitar, you can probably walk into a store and buy one, even on a whim. So think about that cost as well when you're signing up your child for a musical instrument. Okay, and number 4, what instrument are they going to play? Now, if we think about, we had talked about the physical limitations and so on. I still recommend the piano as a good starting place. So when you're thinking about sending your child for musical lessons, it might be a good thing to consider the one that the child is really interested in and the one that you can afford. I know it's kind of coming back to you. Afford to sustain. Like in the house, there's going to be a practice instrument. With the piano, you can always get a clavinova, which is not an acoustic piano, but it works just as well. You can start off with a Casio keyboard or, Yamaha or whatever, and then you can go, if the child maintains the lessons, then you can upgrade to a clavinova, and you can keep a clavinova forever, by the way. You don't actually have to get an acoustic piano. But, which instrument are you going to start with? Voice is also a really good instrument to start with, that I would recommend. It just will give the child some routine, give them an instrument that they can practice anywhere all the time. I also think violin is a good one to start with, but my number one, what I would suggest is a keyboard, piano, clavinova as the first instrument. The 5th thing to consider, number 5, is time availability for your child. I know we talked about, is your child ready? We talked about, are you ready? But now we're looking at how practical it is. Okay, this is the Kenyan situation. Children might start, if you were to go to school, I know right now we're staying indoors, but there are a lot of kids who have to get up and leave the house. They leave the house by 5 to go to school. So by the time the school bus is getting them home, it's like 6, it's 6:30, the child is tired, the child has some homework or prep to do, the child has to take a shower or a bath, take their supper, prepare for school the next day. There's hardly any time. So, looking at the Kenyan situation, really, you have to ask yourself if it's worth it. Is it worth us adding another extra activity for your child to do every single day? So, if you are going to have to include your child's practice session in their day, you have to please consider how much work the child is doing. I remember when I had a student, this is a long time ago. In fact, this guy is probably an adult right now. But in class 6, he had to stop his piano lessons because they were having school on Saturdays. I remember how heartbroken I was. We were working towards, he had finished his grade 6, we were now going into grade 7. He was going to get his grade 7 or 12. And there was like, yay, let's go. But then the lessons had to stop because there was school on Saturdays. Like I said, please just consider how much time your child has to be taking these music lessons. I imagine that there must be a lot more things to consider. How much space you have in your house, if you're going to bring in a drum set and so on. But basically, I think those 5 things are the fundamentals to think about as you enroll in your child for music lessons. I really hope that you are successful in this journey and that you can see how to maneuver the situation if it seems challenging. Yes, so that's it for today, and I hope you can find other tips from my other videos. But for now, it's bye-bye. Nice. Very good. All right.